Government plans to construct 40,000 housing units by 2030. Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo announced on Thursday that the government is making significant strides in implementing its housing policy, with an ambitious goal of constructing 40,000 housing units by 2030. Speaking at a press conference at Freedom House, Jagdeo emphasized the scale of the initiative and the necessity for high-quality construction. To reach 40,000 units over 5 years, that's about 8,000 units per year over 20 houses per day, he stated. This requires a different level of planning, execution, and quality control. We cannot continue to accept substandard work that leaves houses cracking or incomplete. Jagdeo warned local contractors that the government expects timely delivery and durable construction. He urged them to consider forming partnerships with international firms to manage this large-scale project effectively. Local firms would be best served if they could come together in larger groups and explore international collaborations to ensure they can meet the demands of this program, he advised. The vice president outlined plans to modernize construction methods, including the use of prefabricated materials and environmentally friendly, certified building supplies. These innovations aim to accelerate construction while maintaining high-quality standards. He noted that factories might be established to produce materials for on-site assembly, enhancing both efficiency and durability. In addition to the housing initiative, Jagdeo highlighted complementary measures to support home ownership and upgrades for individuals not participating in the government housing program. Ongoing discussions with communities are focused on developing grant or financing models to assist potential homeowners. This housing initiative is part of the PPP/C's broader agenda to expand economic development, improve living standards, and provide affordable housing across Guyana. Jagdeo stated that conceptual planning and proposals are currently under review, with the objective of launching the program aggressively next year. This is a large-scale task that requires careful planning, execution, and financial capacity. We are committed to delivering on our promises, and we want to see homes built that families can rely on for decades, he affirmed. Government to implement stricter regulations on gambling. Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo announced on Thursday that the government will introduce stronger regulations to mitigate the negative effects of gambling at the community level. During a press conference at Freedom House, Jagdeo emphasized the social and economic consequences of widespread gambling, particularly through online platforms. Gambling has blossomed and created a series of negative problems in our communities, breaking up families and creating hardship for many single parents, he stated. He explained that the liberal policies and taxation framework that initially allowed gambling to flourish, aimed at boosting hotel revenues, have contributed to the current challenges. When we started this, it was at hotels to stimulate revenue for tourism. But now there are hundreds of gambling outlets in villages across the country, and it's creating a major social problem, he said. Jagdeo outlined the government's plan to aggressively regulate gambling activities while ensuring that legal operations remain appropriately taxed. He stressed the importance of addressing the financial impact on families. If people are selling out or starving their children to gamble, how can we expect them to build homes or secure a future? We have to change this mindset. The vice president noted that President Mohammed Irfan Ali has personally met with families affected by gambling-related hardships. Concerns raised by religious organizations have also prompted the government to commit to immediate reforms. Expect changes. We are not going to allow this to continue, Jagdeo affirmed, indicating that community-level gambling will face stricter oversight and enforcement in the coming months. PPP/C focused on solutions, not just problem identification. The People's Progressive Party/Civic, PPP/C, is dedicated to crafting solutions to the country's pressing challenges rather than merely identifying problems, according to Vice President and PPP/C General Secretary Dr. Bharat Jagdeo. He made these remarks during a press conference at Freedom House on Thursday. Addressing the media, Dr. Jagdeo emphasized that while the opposition is only identifying issues, the PPP/C and President Mohammed Irfan Ali are actively tackling complex governance matters, including border concerns and national security. He noted that the PPP made commitments based on thorough analysis of issues and the priorities of the people, promising to serve both supporters and those who did not vote for the party. Dr. Jagdeo highlighted the scale of the party's recent electoral victory, stating that the PPP/C did not win narrowly but emerged in a massive way over the combined opposition, securing approximately 50,000 more votes and 7 additional seats in Parliament than all opposition parties combined. That's a huge victory, and it comes with a mandate from the people. By 2031, the PPP will emerge victorious again and build on what has already been accomplished, he added. He pointed to the party's strong performance across various communities, noting continued support from Indo-Guyanese and Amerindian populations, alongside significant inroads with Afro-Guyanese voters. Dr. Jagdeo attributed low voter turnout in part to citizens' desire for the PPP/C to remain in power. We are keeping our ears open, our finger on the pulse of the people who supported us, their concerns, and the help they need. And we are also listening to those who didn't support us. There is a sizable group out there that can still be convinced by our performance, and the PPP will perform, he stated. Dr. Jagdeo emphasized that the party's support is based on its track record of delivery rather than racial considerations. People support us because of our track record of delivery. The PPP/C has hard work ahead, and it shall be so for the next 5 years in government. The term has started, though Parliament has not yet convened, he concluded. Government to enhance transparency in procurement with new online initiatives. Vice President and PPP/C General Secretary Dr. Bharat Jagdeo announced on Thursday that the government will increase online advertising of public contracts and pursue reforms to make the procurement process more efficient, transparent, and accessible to all Guyanese. Jagdeo stated that procurement has been identified as a priority issue by the PPP/C during the election campaign, and the government is actively implementing changes. We want procurement to be fairer, to include more small contractors, deliver better quality work, and operate through a transparent system of tendering, he explained. A significant initiative will be the launch of a government procurement website next year. This platform will publish all contract opportunities across the country, allowing citizens to access information directly from their phones instead of relying solely on newspaper advertisements, which cost the Treasury nearly $800 million in 2024 alone. The advertisement will remain on the site for the entire duration of the tender period. People can now check procurement opportunities wherever they live, including Amerindian communities, Jagdeo noted. He also highlighted that the government will utilize online media outlets more extensively to carry contract advertisements, recognizing that these platforms often reach a broader audience than traditional newspapers. This is a more democratic system and a more efficient use of government funds, he stated, while anticipating potential complaints from some traditional media outlets. Jagdeo emphasized that the reforms align with President Irfan Ali's inaugural address, which focused on transparency, accessibility, and greater efficiency in government operations. Jagdeo dismisses claims of delayed Parliament to block opposition leader swearing in. Vice President and General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party/Civic, PPP/C, Dr. Bharat Jagdeo, has refuted allegations that the government is delaying the convening of Parliament to prevent Azruddin Mohammed from being sworn in as the opposition leader. During a press conference at Freedom House on Thursday, Dr. Jagdeo stated that Parliament will be convened within the constitutionally mandated timeframe. It has nothing to do with whether Mr. Mohammed is elected as opposition leader, he clarified. Jagdeo criticized what he termed misleading narratives circulated by the opposition and certain media outlets concerning Mohammed's status. He emphasized that the Constitution only recognizes an opposition leader once Parliament votes to confirm the position. In Parliament or not, there is no opposition leader-elect until that vote takes place, he asserted. He suggested that the opposition's focus on Mohammed may be an attempt to evade legal accountability, pointing to international scrutiny and the significant reward of $50 million for the arrest or capture of a neighboring head of state. This, he noted, underscores that parliamentary positions do not confer immunity. Shifting to government priorities, Jagdeo stressed that upon convening Parliament, the PPP/C will pursue the agenda presented during the election campaign, which he believes reflects the mandate of the Guyanese people. The agenda is not subject to negotiation, he stated, outlining commitments to education, healthcare, support for pensioners and persons with disabilities, affordable housing, improved security, better paying jobs, and economic growth beyond Region 4. The people voted on this mandate. Now it is how we implement it in a transparent and lawful manner, Jagdeo concluded, indicating that the government will proceed without seeking approval from civil society or media outlets. Justice Christopher Arif Bulkin sworn in as Judge of Caribbean Court of Justice. Guyanese legal scholar and human rights advocate, Justice Christopher Arif Bulkin was sworn in on Wednesday as a judge of the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, becoming the third Guyanese to serve on the court in its 20-year history. The oath of office was administered by President Dr. Irfan Ali at his Shiv Chanderpal Drive office in Georgetown, with CCJ President Justice Winston Anderson in attendance. In his remarks at the ceremony, Justice Anderson commended Justice Bulkin's distinguished career and unwavering commitment to justice and equality. Attorney, academic, author, international law expert, advocate, and judge. These are just a few of the many distinguished roles of which Dr. Arif Bulkin is known and respected throughout the legal profession, he stated, emphasizing Bulkin's dedication to social justice and the rule of law. Justice Anderson acknowledged Bulkin's extensive work in human rights, indigenous rights, and environmental law, noting that these contributions have earned him respect across the region. Justice Bulkin described his appointment as deeply meaningful, emphasizing that it represents more than personal achievement. It signifies the CCJ's role in the region's journey toward decolonization and integration. For me, it is a deep honor to be joining this court. At the same time, the journey towards full independence is not over, he stated. He praised the CCJ for its steadfast commitment to upholding democratic values and human rights, highlighting its expansive interpretative techniques that consider history, context, and international norms. Bulkin urged Caribbean nations yet to fully accede to the CCJ to do so, stressing that accession is vital for regional self-determination. Accession to the CCJ is thus a regional imperative not just for the practical benefits, though that's important, but also because of what it means for our self-determination in the region, he remarked. He expressed hope for complete accession by all Caribbean nations, as the court continues to develop a jurisprudence reflective of shared values and responsive to regional needs. Justice Bulkin pledged to execute his duties with the highest standards of professionalism, affirming, "Be assured that I am committed to performing my functions with competence, efficiency, and unwavering integrity." In his feature address, President Dr. Irfan Ali celebrated Justice Bulkin's appointment as both a personal triumph and a national honor. Guyana celebrates Justice Bulkin today. We are certain that he will bring to the court the same clarity of thought, depth of analysis, and balance of judgment that have characterized his distinguished career, he said. President Ali reiterated Guyana's support for the CCJ as a symbol of Caribbean unity and independence. He described the CCJ as one of the finest achievements of the Caribbean community, representing a collective decision designed to serve the needs of society. This month marks 35 years since Justice Bulkin was called to the bar, and his appointment to the CCJ is a significant milestone in his career and for Guyana. Jagdeo dismisses political deal claims with APNU. Vice President and General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party/Civic, PPP/C, Dr. Bharat Jagdeo, has categorically dismissed claims of collaboration between the PPP/C and the APNU regarding the recent Regional Democratic Council, RDC, elections. At his weekly press conference at Freedom House on Thursday, Dr. Jagdeo labeled the suggestions of any form of collaboration as nonsense, asserting that there was no formal or informal collaboration between the two major political parties despite rumors circulating after the elections in Regions 4, 8, and 10. Let me make it clear. There was no formal or informal negotiation between the PPP and APNU. The only collaboration happening is between APNU and the Mohammeds, Jagdeo stated, referencing the Mohammed family, linked to a recently formed party, WIN. Jagdeo's comments come amidst increasing speculation about backdoor dealings in the election of regional chairpersons and vice chairpersons. He emphasized, "We had no collaboration, no negotiation, no deal," reinforcing his stance against the backdrop of public debate suggesting otherwise. He described the real collusion as existing between APNU and the WIN party, which has ties to the Mohammed family, who were sanctioned by the United States government in 2024 for alleged criminal activities. From the moment they were sanctioned, the PPP made it clear that we would not put our country at risk by doing business with them, he explained. Jagdeo pointed out that the long-standing relationship between APNU and the Mohammeds preceded these sanctions and continued afterward. He noted, they were in bed with each other then, and that collaboration has continued, mentioning the PPP's decision to revoke the Mohammeds' cambio and other licenses. The vice president highlighted the hostility directed toward the government by the Mohammeds, which he attributed to their alignment with opposition factions following the sanctions. He cited evidence of secret meetings between the Mohammeds and APNU, including a meeting with PNC member and attorney Darren Wade, who disclosed that he had been directed by APNU leadership to file court cases on behalf of the Win Party. Jagdeo referenced the election results to illustrate what he called the hypocrisy of the so-called New Democrats within the Win movement. In Region 4, the PPP received 87,536 votes, more than the combined total of APNU's 46,956 and Win's 41,627. Yet the two opposition groups sought to negotiate leadership among themselves. If they were true Democrats who respected the will of the people, they would have recognized that the PPP won the plurality of votes, he asserted. He provided additional context from Region 8, where the PPP again secured a plurality with 2,872 votes, compared to APNU's 2,776 and Win's 2,562, emphasizing that both opposition groups attempted to block the PPP from leadership positions. Jagdeo clarified that while PPP councillors were free to vote their conscience in certain regions, such as Region 10, there was no alliance or instruction involving the APNU. In Region 10, the people voted overwhelmingly for APNU and Win, and we accepted that. We did not interfere. But in Regions 4 and 8, the people chose the PPP, and we defended that mandate, he stated. He concluded by asserting that claims of PPP-APNU collaboration were being pushed by opposition factions who were disappointed that their partners failed to secure regional leadership roles. They wanted an anti-democratic arrangement where the parties that lost the plurality of votes would still get leadership positions, he said. The PPP will not participate in any such undemocratic scheme. Fenton Jonathan Budrum admitted to practice as attorney-at-law in Guyana. The legal community in Guyana welcomed a new member on Thursday with the admission of Fenton Jonathan Budrum to practice as an attorney-at-law before the courts. His petition for admission was presented by Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, Shalimar Ali Haq, SC, before acting Chief Justice Navindra Singh at the High Court. Budrum, a resident of Golden Grove, East Bank Demerara, is the son of Deputy Commissioner of Police Ravindrat Budrum and educator Lalita Budrum. His application was supported by a statutory declaration affirming his good character and professional suitability for enrollment among Guyana's attorneys at law, made under the Legal Practitioners Act, Chapter 401. His educational journey showcases a blend of discipline and ambition. A former student of St. Margaret's Primary and St. Rose's High School, Budrum excelled in CSEC examinations before moving on to the Bishop's High School, where he achieved distinctions at the Cape level. In 2020, he entered the University of Guyana's Faculty of Law, graduating with distinction in 2023. That same year, he was awarded a Government of Guyana scholarship to pursue studies at the Hugh Wooding Law School, HWLS, in Trinidad and Tobago. While at HWLS, he served as secretary of the Hindu Student Society and completed a 10-week in-service training attachment at the office of the DPP. On October 4, 2025, Budrum earned his Legal Education Certificate, LEC, from the Council of Legal Education, officially qualifying him to join the bar. In his address to the court, Budrum expressed heartfelt gratitude to Chief Justice Singh for his admission and to Mrs. Ali Haq for advocating on his behalf. Quoting author Sidney Sheldon, he remarked, "Life is like a novel, filled with suspense. You never know what happens until you turn the page." Reflecting on his upbringing, he fondly recalled the table of determination, the dining table where he and his family spent countless evenings studying together. He paid tribute to his father's humility and integrity, his mother's nurturing of his persistence and compassion, and acknowledged his brother Joshua, nanny Dorothy Sukhai, and grandmother Sinita Budrum for their support. He also honored the memory of his late grandfathers, Rajanand Sukhai and Nanlal Budrum, whose examples continue to inspire him. Budrum credited his professional growth to the mentorship of Mrs. Alihak, under whose guidance he gained valuable insights into criminal prosecution and community outreach efforts focused on domestic violence and sexual offenses. He also recognized the influence of several legal luminaries, including Ms. Lake, Ms. O'Brien, Dr. Rahman, and retired Chancellor Carl Singh, as well as legal officers from the Attorney General's chambers. Motivated by his early exposure to law enforcement through his father's career, Budrum expressed a deep commitment to public service and justice. "I vow to execute my duties as an attorney at law with humility and integrity," he affirmed. "It will be my honor to serve this noble profession and this honorable court." The ceremony concluded with Acting Chief Justice Navindra Singh granting the order for Budrum's admission to practice before all courts in Guyana, marking the beginning of what promises to be a distinguished legal career grounded in family values, hard work, and service. Driver charged with dangerous driving in Essequibo Coast incident. Samuel Tulasaram, a 38-year-old driver of Lot 26 Richmond, Essequibo Coast, has been charged with dangerous driving following an incident involving Collis McKenzie, a 45-year-old plumber from Lot 45 Henrietta housing scheme, also on the Essequibo Coast. The incident occurred on Sunday, September 21, 2025, on the Richmond Public Road. The charge was laid under Section 36(1) of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 51:02. On Wednesday, October 15, 2025, the case was presented at Anna Magistrates Court before His Worship, Mr. Ravindra Mohabir. During the proceedings, the charge was read to Tulasaram, who pleaded guilty. As a result, he was fined $50,000 or sentenced to 2 months in prison. The court's decision underscores the importance of road safety and the legal repercussions of dangerous driving behavior. Laborer charged with dangerous driving in Essequibo Coast. Ryan Rahavita, a 32-year-old laborer from Lot 98 Onderneming, Essequibo Coast, has been charged with dangerous driving following an incident that occurred on Saturday, October 10, 2025, on the Kapoi Access Road. The charges against Rahavita include dangerous driving, as laid under Section 36(1) of the Motor Vehicle and Road Traffic Act, Chapter 51:02, as well as the offense of obscured identification marks, front, contrary to Section 13 of the same act. On Monday, October 13, 2025, the case was brought before His Worship, Mr. Ravindra Mohabir, at the Charity Magistrates Court. During the proceedings, the charges were read to Rahavita, who pleaded not guilty to both counts. Bail was granted in the sum of $150,000 GYD, and the case has been adjourned to October 28, 2025, for further proceedings. The legal process underscores the importance of road safety and adherence to traffic regulations in the region. Vice President Jagdeo calls for investigation into gold smuggling case. Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo has demanded a comprehensive investigation into officials who may have assisted the Mohammed family in smuggling approximately $50 million worth of gold out of Guyana. The GRA, Guyana Revenue Authority, and the police must immediately start the investigation of all those corrupt officials who collaborated with the Mohammeds in smuggling the gold, both during the APNU period and under the PPP, Jagdeo stated during a press conference. He expressed his expectation for a thorough investigation into individuals from the Gold Board who might have been complicit in helping the Mohammeds evade substantial taxes. The Mohammed family, consisting of businessman Nazar Mohammed and his son Azruddin Mohammed, has been indicted by a grand jury in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. The indictment includes 11 criminal charges, including wire fraud, mail fraud, and money laundering, primarily linked to their export of gold to the United States through Mohammed's enterprises. The Mohammeds are currently facing sanctions from the U.S. Department of the Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, for their involvement in gold smuggling. The indictment alleges that between 2017 and June 11, 2024, the father-son duo conspired to defraud both the U.S. and Guyanese governments by evading taxes and royalties on gold exports. They reportedly reused customs declarations and official seals on multiple shipments to create the illusion that taxes and royalties had been paid when they had not. According to U.S. prosecutors, the scheme led to over $50 million in lost taxes and royalties for the government of Guyana. The indictment describes how the Mohammeds arranged for empty wooden boxes with intact GRA and Guyana Gold Board (GGB) seals to be shipped from gold buyers in Dubai to Miami, which were then used to export gold while falsely indicating that customs and tax obligations had been met. Additional allegations include that Azruddin Mohammed purchased and imported a Lamborghini sports car to Guyana in 2020, directing someone to falsify the invoice to understate import taxes. The U.S. government is seeking the forfeiture of certain assets connected to the accused. If convicted, most charges could result in a maximum sentence of 20 years in prison and fines up to $250,000, while the money laundering charge carries a fine of $500,000 or the value of the laundered property. Jagdeo's call for a full-fledged investigation underscores the government's commitment to addressing corruption and ensuring accountability within its ranks. Minister Rodriguez aims to make local tourism more affordable for Guyanese. Guyana's Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce, Susan Rodriguez, is on a mission to enable more Guyanese to experience their own country by making local tourism more affordable and accessible. In comments to reporters, Rodriguez highlighted the growth of Guyana's tourism sector and emphasized the importance of local participation in sustaining this growth. "We are tailoring our tourism product for our visitors, but we want to ensure that it remains affordable for Guyanese right at home," she stated. "A lot of people haven't been able to witness what Guyana has to offer. I want to make ambassadors out of them, and in order for me to do that, they have to experience what visitors who come to Guyana experience," she added during an event on Wednesday. Rodriguez has already engaged local hotels to cap their prices for Guyanese residents and members of the diaspora at $200 per night. Several local hotels, including Aden by Best Western and the Royal International Hotel, have voluntarily participated in this initiative. The minister indicated that more hotels are expected to join this effort and hinted at the introduction of cheaper experiences in Guyana for locals. Once these initiatives are implemented, Rodriguez explained, Guyanese will be able to enjoy their country more fully, while local tourism stakeholders will benefit from a steady flow of business from both foreign visitors and locals. Vice President Jagdeo disagrees with ExxonMobil on LNG prioritization. Vice President Barrett Jagdeo today expressed disagreement with ExxonMobil Guyana President Alistair Routledge's suggestion that converting Guyana's gas into liquefied natural gas, LNG, is not a current priority for the company. The Guyanese government had selected Fulcrum LNG to collaborate with ExxonMobil on monetizing the country's liquefied natural gas resources. Although no formal agreement has yet been established, the project aims to capitalize on Guyana's offshore natural gas reserves, estimated at 16 trillion cubic feet. At a press conference at Freedom House, Jagdeo stated that the government disagrees with ExxonMobil's position, emphasizing that bringing the project online as soon as possible remains a priority. He noted that if ExxonMobil is no longer interested in the project, the government is prepared to seek another contractor. "So, I hope Exxon doesn't believe that we are putting it on a back burner, because if they are talking that LNG is not a priority, anything that will make the project feasible will be a priority for us because it will bring a revenue stream for the country," Jagdeo explained. He clarified that the government had issued a request for bids, RFB, for the design, financing, construction, and operation of essential gas infrastructure to support upstream developments in Guyana. Fulcrum LNG was identified as the most responsive bidder among 17 companies. Jagdeo emphasized that the government has no plans to invest in the project but maintains that liquefied natural gas is the most feasible option, which could be implemented more quickly through a floating platform. "I hope Exxon doesn't think that by trying to take this off the table, which it seems they are doing by saying it's not a priority, that they would delay this project," he said. He added that the infrastructure required for alternative uses of the gas would take longer to develop than an LNG floating structure. The vice president stated that the government intends to utilize profits from all associated gas resources in the Stabroek block to generate additional revenue for the country and create new opportunities for its citizens. Attorney General criticizes appeal to CCJ in GECOM case. Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, Anil Nandlal SC, has condemned the decision to appeal to the Caribbean Court of Justice, CCJ, in the Crystal Fisher versus Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM case, labeling the litigation as a total abuse of the process of the court. He warned that this move could burden the litigant with millions more in legal costs. Nandlal made these remarks during his weekly issues in the news program on Tuesday night, following the Court of Appeal's dismissal on October 10th of the Forward Guyana Movement's, FGM, challenge against GECOM's decision to exclude the party from the ballot in Regions 7, 8, and 9 during the September 1, 2025, elections. The appeal, filed by Crystal Fisher on behalf of FGM, was unanimously rejected by the appeal court. Acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, Justice Roxanne George, stated that the case lacked merit and affirmed that GECOM acted lawfully in excluding parties that failed to submit candidate lists in specific constituencies. She also noted that the appeal was not properly before the court, as it did not arise from an election petition, reaffirming the Chief Justice's earlier ruling. This is not an appeal from an election petition and, as such, the court would have no jurisdiction to entertain it, Chancellor George said, ordering that the costs of the appeal be paid by November 14, 2025. Nandlal remarked that the judge's language was scathing and suggested that the matter should not have been pursued further. A total of 4 judges have described the case as an abuse of the court's process and completely baseless, he stated. Despite this, Nandlal noted that those behind the case have moved to appeal to the CCJ, which he characterized as reckless and poorly executed. The document for the appeal was incompetently filed, he revealed. If you can't get the appeal documents right, I don't know how you will argue the case when it eventually comes up. He expressed sympathy for Fisher, calling her an unsuspecting citizen from Region 9 and a member of our indigenous community, who now faces significant financial exposure. This poor woman has already been ordered to pay $4 million in costs, he said, adding that if the case goes to the CCJ, those costs could escalate into millions more. Nandlal indicated that he would request the attorney who filed the appeal contribute to those costs due to the apparent mishandling of the matter. He criticized the publicity surrounding the appeal, stating, "In their hurry to seek attention, they rush to the press to say they have filed an appeal. But the documents are defective. That's what we're dealing with here, an abuse of the process of the court." The Attorney General reiterated his belief that the CCJ should dismiss or shelve the appeal outright, arguing that the matter is without merit and continuing it would only deepen the financial burden on the litigant. 17-year-old male arrested after firearm recovery in Albuistown. Officers from the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, at the Ruimveldt police station have arrested a 17-year-old male following the recovery of a firearm and several rounds of ammunition during a police operation on Tuesday evening. Around 7:05 p.m., a mobile patrol acting on intelligence pursued 2 male suspects observed riding a red motorcycle near Durban Street. During the chase, the suspects lost control of the motorcycle while crossing the bridge at Sussex and Hill Streets in Albuistown, causing both men to fall onto the roadway. The pillion rider fled on foot but was quickly apprehended by police on House Street, Albuistown, after a brief pursuit. The driver managed to pick up the motorcycle and escape south along Hill Street. A search of the apprehended suspect revealed a 9mm pistol with a magazine containing 5 live rounds. The teenager was cautioned and taken into custody along with the recovered firearm and ammunition, which have been lodged at the station. Efforts are ongoing to locate the second suspect, and investigations continue. Nadiria James granted bail after charge reduced to manslaughter. Nadiria James, 19, who was charged with the murder of 20-year-old minor Kevin Smith last month, has been granted bail in the sum of $200,000 following a reduction of her charge to manslaughter. Attorney Sanjeev Dadadin, representing James, announced the development on Facebook, stating that he made representations to the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, for the charge to be lowered based on sound legal reasons. He confirmed that a preliminary inquiry, PI, for manslaughter will still take place in the coming weeks. I'm making every effort to get this teenage girl back to her family as quickly as possible. Today was a good day, he wrote. Among the factors considered for the charge reduction was that James was a victim of abuse and was responding to an incident. It was noted that she voluntarily went to the police station following the altercation. Her next court appearance is scheduled for December 8, 2025. James appeared virtually before Magistrate Rabindranath Singh at the Port Kaituma Magistrates Court on Tuesday. Since the original murder charge was indictable, she was not required to enter a plea and was remanded to prison until her next court date on October 14, 2025. The case stems from a fatal altercation on September 18, 2025. Investigations revealed that James and Smith, who had been in a relationship and living together in a wooden and plastic camp at Parliamentary for about a year, were involved in a violent confrontation. Police reports indicate that James returned home around 5 p.m. after consuming alcohol and found Smith lying in a hammock. Smith allegedly armed himself with a cutlass and struck James on her left shoulder and right hand. In response, James reportedly used a handmade knife to stab Smith once in the left side of his chest. The injured minor stumbled from the camp before collapsing in nearby bushes and was pronounced dead shortly afterward. James later went to the Parliamentary police station and provided a statement regarding the incident. Investigations into the case are ongoing. Mayor Mentor commits to improving solid waste management in Georgetown. As Georgetown faces significant costs and logistical challenges in solid waste management, Mayor Alfred Mentor has pledged to collaborate with the Ministry of Local Government and Regional Development to find effective solutions. The city spends nearly $500 million annually on waste removal alone. In an interview with Newsroom on Tuesday, Mentor discussed recent talks between himself, the City Council, and Minister Priya Manikchand, where collaborative steps were explored to enhance waste collection, disposal efficiency, and overall cleanliness in the city. I indicated to her that I am ready and willing to work with her as the mayor to ensure that we can have a better city and better surroundings, Mentor stated. The mayor emphasized the need for joint efforts, noting that while substantial resources are devoted to waste management, key infrastructural support, such as additional skip bins and compactors, remains essential. He mentioned that the minister has responded positively, conducting site visits and directing her technical staff to assess the situation firsthand. It's a situation where we need to have that joint collaboration. We need to work with whatever resources we have and whatever the government will bring forth, he said. We are committed to creating a cleaner and more sustainable Georgetown. The discussions also addressed the allocation of temporary government workers, particularly the 10-day workers, and how these individuals can be strategically assigned to support the city's sanitation needs, especially around markets and high-traffic areas. We're asking how some of those persons could be allocated to us so we can administer them effectively, particularly around the markets, to keep those places cleaner, he explained. Both parties agreed on the necessity of a multi-stakeholder approach, which includes not only the city and the ministry but also citizens, to improve waste practices and maintain public spaces.